Whispers of the Kalunga River calling your name? I've waited for you, just as I waited for him. They all think they can escape me, but the river never lets go. Are you brave enough to uncover my secrets? Or will you too be mine forever?
In an ancient village named Nimara, nestled quietly by the Kalunga River, time seemed to stand still. Thatched roof houses sat humbly under the shade of towering trees. Dirt paths leading to the riverbank were overgrown with weeds, and the only sound breaking the serene silence was the gentle murmur of flowing water. But do not be deceived by this tranquility, for deep beneath the Kalunga's calm surface lies a mystery that has endured for centuries. The villagers believe that beneath the placid waters resides a creature both enchanting and terrifying. A golden mermaid, so breathtakingly beautiful that no one can resist her allure, yet with a heart as cold as the abyss. According to legend, anyone who falls under her gaze is destined never to return. On full moon nights, when silver light dances on the river, the people of Nimara gather around a large bonfire. They sit in a circle, listening to the village elders recount the legend of the Kalunga, stories carried through generations by those who have lived their entire lives beside its waters. These are nights when even the bravest adults dare not speak too loudly, fearing their careless whispers might summon the golden mermaid. Amma, the village's eldest storyteller, sat by the fire, her face etched with wrinkles like the flow of time itself. Her eyes reflected the flickering flames, glowing as if they held the secrets of the entire village. "Listen closely, children," she began, her voice raspy but commanding. Kalunga is no ordinary river. Those silver ripples you see conceal a secret far beyond what any of us can comprehend. Do not let it deceive you once you step into its depths. She paused, her gaze fixed intently on the children, her voice dropping to a warning whisper. "You will never return." The children sat motionless, their wide eyes fixed on her, afraid to even blink. A breeze swept in from the river, making the fire crackle and dance, as though nature itself was affirming Amma's words. "But why, Grandma Amma? Why does no one return?" a curious little girl with bright, trembling eyes asked. Amma leaned in closer, her gaze taking on a mysterious glint. "Because the Golden Mermaid is not just beautiful, she is lonely. She yearns for a companion from our world, but her love, my dear children." Amma's voice trailed off, carried away by the cold wind, "is a possessive and ruthless love. Once she claims you, she never lets go." Amma's final words sliced through the quiet like a sharp blade, making the children huddle together, their eyes darting nervously. Yet amid their fear, a flicker of curiosity glimmered. Could these stories merely be fabrications meant to frighten them? While the children were left haunted by the tale, the adults of Nimara often laughed it off. "It's just an old legend," they'd say, waving away the stories as nothing more than superstitions to keep the young ones away from the dangerous riverbank. But not everyone was skeptical. A few villagers, those who had heard whispers in the dead of night or seen strange golden lights glowing in the middle of the river, remained silent. They did not argue, nor did they elaborate, but their cautious gazes spoke volumes. Sometimes, legends hold a kernel of truth. The Kalunga River continues to flow serene and enigmatic, as if daring anyone to uncover the secrets it guards. In the village, there remain curious hearts drawn to tales they claim not to believe. But will their skepticism shield them? Or will it pull them into the darkness of Kalunga's mystery? In the village of Nimara, where every person shared a deep connection with the Kalunga River, there was a man named Malik. He was a skilled fisherman, known for his deft hands and unyielding patience. But Malik was different from the others in the village. He didn't believe the chilling legends that people told about the river. To Malik, Kalunga was simply the place where he caught the biggest hauls of fish, the lifeblood of his family. That morning, as the first light of dawn broke the horizon, Malik prepared his fishing gear as usual. He carefully inspected his fishing nets, ensuring every knot was secure, and arranged his tools with precision. However, as he stood at the threshold of his home, his wife, Naomi, could not hide her worry. "Malik, don't go to the river," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "There are safer places. We don't have to take this risk." Malik looked at Naomi, his eyes filled with confidence mixed with a hint of stubbornness. Placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder, he pulled her into a gentle embrace. "Naomi, you know me," he said with a calm smile, his voice steady as if nothing in the world could shake him. "I've fished at Kalunga for years. Nothing has ever happened. These legends, they're just stories." Naomi stepped back, her eyes betraying her fear. "But Malik, that river, it's not like other places. There's something wrong about it." She hesitated, struggling to put into words the unease she felt whenever she thought of Kalunga. "Don't worry, my love," Malik reassured her, his voice soft but resolute. "I'll be back before sunset with baskets full of fish. We'll have enough for the whole week, and you'll see there's nothing to fear." Naomi watched as her husband's figure disappeared down the path leading to the river. Her heart felt as heavy as if an invisible weight was pressing down on her. The early morning breeze carried a chill from the water, making her shiver. "Please let nothing happen to him," she whispered, clutching her apron tightly as though trying to hold on to something solid. She didn't say it aloud, but deep in her heart she sensed that something was amiss. She recalled the stories the village elders used to tell, that the Kalunga River was no ordinary stream. On certain nights, people would hear a hauntingly beautiful song, as though a woman were calling from a distant place. Strange golden lights shimmering on the water's surface left those who glimpsed them with an eerie sense of dread. "Those stories can't just be empty warnings," Naomi muttered to herself. But then she shook her head, trying to calm her nerves. Malik was a strong man, unafraid of anything. Perhaps she was worrying too much. Malik walked on, his steps light and carefree, paying no heed to the warnings or the fear in his wife's eyes. To him, the river was like an old friend, a place that had blessed him with many fruitful seasons. A golden mermaid, legends, they're just bedtime stories, he thought, chuckling at the memory of the villagers' fireside tales. When he arrived at the riverbank, the morning sunlight danced on the water's surface, creating a mesmerizing, glittering scene. But Malik barely noticed. To him, it was just another day of work. He tied his fishing line to a stake, sat down and cast his net. The gentle gurgle of the river sounded like a familiar tune, lulling him into a sense of ease. Yet, deep beneath the water's surface, a pair of golden eyes watched him in silence. That morning, a thick fog enveloped the Kalunga River, adding an eerie chill to the air. Malik walked along the dirt path leading to the riverbank, his shoes leaving prints on the damp ground. The sound of the river's gentle murmur reached his ears, familiar yet carrying an unusual undertone. Standing at the river's edge, Malik took a deep breath, feeling the cold mist brush against his face. The river lay still, like a mirror reflecting the faint light of dawn. He placed his basket and fishing rod on the ground and leisurely tied his line to a wooden stake, humming a tune he often made up during his fishing trips. "The Golden Mermaid, huh?" Malik muttered, chuckling to himself as he recalled the tales Amma used to tell. "If she's real, she's probably just a big goldfish." His voice echoed in the quiet surroundings, but instead of dispelling the stillness, it seemed to deepen the river's enigmatic presence. Malik cast his line into the water, his gaze drifting to the far-off horizon. A soft breeze rippled the surface, creating gentle waves. Everything felt calm, too calm. But the tranquility was short-lived. Just as Malik was about to reel in his line, a strange light appeared beneath the surface. At first, it was only a faint golden glimmer, like a large coin resting on the riverbed. But the light didn't fade. Instead, it grew brighter and more intense, spreading into brilliant golden streaks that pierced through the water. "What is that?" Malik squinted, staring intently at the glowing river. His grip on the fishing rod tightened as unease bubbled within him. Before he could process what was happening, his line suddenly went taut, as if something massive had taken the bait. Malik braced himself, his muscles Fishy, straining as he pulled on the line. Sweat broke out on his brow despite the morning's cool air. "What have I caught?" he panted, his eyes filled with both curiosity and apprehension. The line rose from the water, droplets cascading like tiny diamonds. But instead of the large fish he expected, what emerged left Malik frozen in place. From within the golden light, a figure began to take shape. It was a woman, but not an ordinary one. Her upper body was that of a young maiden, with flowing golden hair that shimmered like a cascading waterfall. Her eyes glowed, not like human eyes, but like radiant golden gems, illuminated from within. Where her legs should have been was a glittering fishtail, each scale reflecting the light like a mosaic of diamonds. Malik staggered back a step, his heart pounding in his chest. "This can't be. This isn't real," he whispered, unable to look away from the creature before him. She gazed at him, her lips curving into a smile, both alluring and unsettling. When she spoke, her voice was as sweet as a spring brook, yet as chilling as the waters she called home. "Thank you for coming." Malik stood paralyzed, unable to move or speak. Confronted by her mesmerizing yet dangerous beauty, he realized with a sinking dread that the legends of the Kalunga River were far more than mere bedtime stories. Before Malik could comprehend what was happening, the icy hands of the mermaid clasped tightly around him. A powerful force pulled him into the depths, leaving him utterly powerless. The frigid water enveloped his body, stealing his breath. In his panic, Malik thrashed and fought, but the mermaid's strength far surpassed that of any creature he had ever encountered. His lungs burned as he desperately gasped for air, the suffocating sensation growing with each passing second. Everything around him blurred into darkness, as though the river itself was swallowing him whole. Malik thought it was the end, that he would never again see the sunlight or his family. But then, something extraordinary happened. Suddenly, the suffocating pressure lifted. Malik opened his mouth to breathe and, to his astonishment, found that he could. He blinked, his eyes stinging from the water, but the sight before him left him speechless. Malik was no longer in the murky depths of the river. He was in a massive underwater cavern, more magnificent than anything he had ever imagined. Soft blue light radiated from bioluminescent algae clinging to the walls, casting a mysterious yet breathtaking glow. Coral stalagmites rose from the ground like pillars of an ancient palace, their surfaces reflecting the ethereal light like precious gems. At the center of the cavern stood a smooth stone pedestal, polished as if sculpted by divine hands. Malik could do nothing but stare, his confusion growing with every moment. "Welcome to my kingdom," a sweet but chilling voice echoed through the silence. Malik turned and saw the mermaid standing there, regal as a goddess. Her golden hair floated around her like shimmering silk, and her radiant golden eyes seemed to pierce through him, reading every secret he had ever kept. Her powerful tail gleamed as it moved, sending mesmerizing ripples of golden light through the water. "I am Niara, Queen of Kalunga," she announced, her voice resonating through the cavern. "And now you shall be my king, will be my..." Malik staggered back, gripping the edge of the stone pedestal for balance. "I can't stay here," he shouted, his voice trembling but resolute. "I have a family. Naomi is waiting for me at home. Please, let me go." Nyara glided closer, her gaze flashing with a chilling possessiveness. Her smile, once gentle, now carried a dangerous edge that sent shivers through Malik. "Family? Naomi?" she repeated, drawing out the words with mocking amusement. "Those things no longer matter. You've entered my world, and now you belong to me, Malik. Forever." Her words landed like a heavy curse on Malik's shoulders. He struggled against the pull of her presence, taking another step back, but his movements were slow and futile in the water. Niara raised her hand, and the water around him began to swirl. A powerful vortex thrust Malik into a corner of the cavern. Before he could react, shimmering cords of water coiled around his wrists and ankles, binding him to the wall. Malik thrashed against them, but the more he fought, the tighter they constricted, their icy grip biting into his skin. "You will learn to love me," Niara declared, her voice a chilling promise. "Time will erase your memories of the old world, and then you will only know me." With that, she turned and glided away, leaving Malik alone in the dimly lit cavern. Malik slumped against the restraints, overwhelmed by helplessness. In his mind's eye, he saw Naomi's face, her warm smile and gentle, loving gaze that had always been his anchor. But now those memories felt impossibly distant, like fragments of a life slipping away. 17 years had passed, yet the village of Nimara remained unchanged. The Kalunga River still flowed silently, guarding its deep secrets. In this quiet village lived a woman named Naomi, leading a modest life with a sorrow that lingered in her eyes. Every morning she stood at her doorstep, gazing toward the river as if waiting for something or someone to return. Since the day Malik disappeared, Naomi had lived in anguish and fear, yet she carried a secret that only she knew. 9 months after that fateful day, Naomi gave birth to a daughter and named her Lila. Lila became the miracle of Naomi's life, but she was unlike anyone in the village. Her hair shimmered with a pale golden hue in the sunlight, as though the river itself had left its mark on her. Her eyes were deep and mysterious, holding the colour of Kalunga's waters on its stillest days. Villagers often looked at Lila with a mix of curiosity and unease. "She's different," they whispered among themselves. "It's as if she doesn't belong here." But to Naomi, Lila was everything. She raised her daughter with endless love, though her heart was constantly gripped by fear. Naomi decided to hide the truth about Lila's father, instead telling a simple story. "Your father died in a river accident." Lila believed her mother's words, but deep inside she always felt something was amiss. The Kalunga River, with its eerie calm, seemed to exert an irresistible pull on her. On her 17th birthday, as the morning sunlight bathed the village, Lila felt a powerful urge, like the river itself was calling her name. It was a sensation unlike anything she had ever experienced. Naomi, noticing the change in her daughter's expression, knew the time had come to reveal the truth. "Lila," she began, her voice trembling, "there's something I've kept from you all these years." Lila sat beside her mother, her eyes filled with both curiosity and apprehension. "What is it, Mother?" Naomi took a deep breath, her hands shaking as she grasped Lila's. "Your father. He didn't die in an accident. He disappeared in the Kalunga River, and I believed he's still alive, but held captive by something not of this world." Naomi's words struck Lila like a bolt of lightning. "Held captive? By what?" she asked, her voice quivering but her eyes shining with determination. Naomi shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I don't know, but I was always afraid that if you learned the truth, you'd do something reckless." Lila sat in silence for a moment, letting her mother's words sink in. Then she stood, her eyes alight with unwavering resolve. "I can't sit here and do nothing, Mother. I have to find him." Naomi sprang to her feet, clutching Lila's arm tightly. "No, you can't. That river is dangerous. I've already lost your father. I can't lose you too." But Lila gently pried her mother's hands away, her gaze filled with both love and determination. "Mother, I can't ignore this. I've always felt the river calling me, and now I know why. I have to do this. For him, for us." Naomi watched her daughter, her heart heavy with pain and fear. But she knew, just as with Malik all those years ago, that nothing could stop Lila. As the first rays of sunlight pierced through the thin veil of mist shrouding the village of Nimara, Lila stood at the path leading to the Kalunga River. Her hands clutched tightly around a silver necklace her mother had given her as a protective charm. Her gaze was resolute, filled with determination, though deep within her a mix of anticipation and fear churned. From behind her, Jonas, her childhood friend, rushed over, his face etched with worry. "Lila, don't go. You can't do this," Jonas exclaimed, his breath heavy as he stepped in front of her. "I have to, Jonas," Lila replied, her voice calm but as sharp as the morning frost. I can't stay still any longer. I need to know the truth. My father couldn't have vanished without a trace. If I don't go, I'll live the rest of my life in doubt. Jonas shook his head, his voice filled with near desperation. Lila, you know the stories. Everyone in the village avoids the river. They say anyone who gets too close never comes back. Jonas, that's exactly why I have to do this, she said, her eyes gleaming with determination. They're afraid, but no one is brave enough to confront the truth. I can't live like that. Jonas stared at her, hearing the conviction in her voice. He sighed, his eyes dropping to the ground as if wrestling with his thoughts. Do you really think you can do anything? What if you disappear too, like the others? Lila shook her head gently, her eyes blazing with a strength Jonas had never seen before. If I disappear, at least I tried, but I can't keep living in the dark, Jonas. I'll do what no one else dares. I'll find my father. Jonas stood silently for a long moment, as though searching for a reason to stop her, but he knew nothing could sway Lila once her mind was set. Finally, he sighed deeply and stepped closer, his eyes now reflecting reluctant acceptance. If you're determined, I'm not letting you go alone. Someone has to be there to make sure you don't do anything reckless. Lila looked at him, her expression a mix of surprise and gratitude. Jonas, you don't have to do this. This is my journey, not yours. Jonas gave a small, uncertain smile. Lila, you know I won't let you go alone. If something happens, at least we'll face it together. But you have to promise me you'll be careful. Lila nodded slightly, her eyes glimmering with a faint spark of hope. Thank you, Jonas. That means so much to me. Together, they stepped onto the path leading to the river, leaving behind the familiar sounds of the village. The air grew colder as they approached Kalunga. The river veiled in a thick mist that seemed like a curtain of secrets no one dared to draw back. The shadows of the trees lining the path seemed to close in around them. A chilly breeze whispered through the leaves, carrying an eerie murmur, as though the river was both beckoning and warning them. Jonas glanced at Lila, his eyes filled with concern. Lila, I hope we're doing the right thing. Lila's reply was soft but unwavering. We'll uncover the truth, no matter what awaits us there. Lila stood at the edge of the Kalunga River, her heart pounding in her chest. The water before her was eerily still, reflecting the moonlight like a mirror. Kneeling, her trembling hands reached out to touch the icy surface. The moment her fingers brushed the water, a blinding golden light erupted from the depths. What began as a faint glow quickly spread, turning the river into a mesmerizing display of mystical radiance. Behind her, Jonas gasped for breath. Lila, no! Be careful! He shouted, rushing toward her. But it was too late. From within the golden glow, a figure emerged. Lila's mouth fell open as Nyara, the legendary mermaid, slowly rose from the water. Her golden hair shimmered like strands of silk, floating gracefully in the water. Her eyes, gleaming like molten gold, fixed on Lila as if piercing through her very soul. Nyara smiled, a mysterious expression blending both gentleness and danger. At last you've come, Lila, she said, her voice clear and cold like the river itself. Where's my father? Lila demanded, her voice a mixture of anger and desperation. Nyara tilted her head, her face serene, as though she were indulging in a game. He is here in my kingdom where he belongs, and so do you. Lila took a step back, her hands clenched tightly. What are you talking about? Nyara's smile turned sharper, colder. You are part of this place, Lila. My daughter. The word struck Lila like a thunderclap. She froze, her world crumbling around her. No, my father is human. I am human. Jonas, though shaken, stepped forward, trying to pull Lila away from Nyara's grasp. Don't listen to her, Lila. She's trying to deceive you. But with a mere wave of her hand, Nyara sent a powerful jet of water shooting from the river, knocking Jonas to the ground. He tumbled backward, dazed by the strange force of the mermaid's power. Niara turned back to Lila, her eyes no longer gentle but filled with a dangerous possessiveness. "Do not fear, my daughter. I have waited 17 years for this moment. You belong here, with me." Lila shook her head, tears streaming down her face, though her voice remained steady. "I am not your daughter. Where is my father? What have you done to him?" Niara sighed, as though growing impatient. "Your father is where he belongs, beside me. And now, you will stay here as well, forever." Lila felt an inexplicable pull toward Niara, as if some part of her longed to step closer, to lose herself in the mermaid's golden gaze. But as she teetered on the brink, the image of her mother, Naomi, flashed in her mind. "No," Lila whispered, her voice firm with newfound resolve. "I won't let you take me. I'll save my father and we will leave." Her words caused Niara's beautiful face to twist with fury. The mermaid let out a roar that made the water around her boil violently. "Don't you understand, Lila? You have no choice. You are part of me, and I will take back what is mine." Niara extended her hand toward Lila, and a swirling vortex of water began forming at her feet, pulling her closer to the river's depths. Jonas, injured but determined, shouted from where he lay, "Lila, fight her! Don't let her pull you under!" Lila closed her eyes, clutching the silver necklace around her neck. She felt a strange warmth radiating from it, spreading through her body. Suddenly, the pendant's gemstone flared with a brilliant light, so dazzling that the golden glow surrounding Niara paled in comparison. Niara recoiled, her eyes wide with shock and fear. "This cannot be," she whispered, her voice trembling with anger and disbelief. Lila stood before Niara, her eyes flickering with a storm of emotions. The golden-haired mermaid, radiant like a cascade of molten fire, gazed at her with eyes that sparkled like sunlit jewels. Around them, the river churned as if it, too, awaited Lila's choice with bated breath. Niara extended a hand, her voice lilting like a haunting lullaby. "Come to me, Lila. You don't belong to the outside world, a place filled with pain and loss. Here you will have everything: power, immortality, and family." A strange pull gripped Lila. Niara's words weren't merely spoken. They wrapped around her mind like invisible threads. For a moment, she imagined a life free from struggle, untouched by loss, where perfection reigned eternal. But then, a vivid image of her mother, Naomi, pierced through the haze. She saw her mother's tear-streaked face, recounting the day her father vanished. She remembered the quiet sacrifices her mother had made, raising her with love and hope despite the pain. Niara might offer promises of family, but Lila knew who her true family was. Lila shook her head, clutching the silver necklace around her neck. "I don't belong to you, Niara. My family is up there. I will save my father, and we will return." Niara's golden eyes narrowed, and her smile faded. "Don't you see, Lila? You have no choice. You are part of me, just as your father was." With those words, Niara surged forward, the water around her rising into wild vortexes that propelled her closer. But before she could touch Lila, the pearl on Lila's necklace suddenly flared with a blinding light. The glow radiated with such intensity that the entire space was engulfed in brilliant white. Lila felt a comforting warmth wrap around her, shielding her from the river's ominous grasp. Niara staggered back, her eyes wide with disbelief. "This is impossible!" she roared, her voice now stripped of its gentleness, replaced by seething fury. The waters surrounding Niara surged into towering whirlpools, crashing against the radiant barrier of light emanating from Lila's necklace. "Do you think that trinket can protect you forever, Lila? Light fades, but the river never stops flowing. I will wait, and you will belong to me." Lila met Niara's gaze, her grip on the necklace tightening. "You're wrong, Niara. I will never belong to you, and I won't let this river take anyone else." Turning away, Lila moved forward, the light from the pearl illuminating her path through the swirling waters. Yet she knew in her heart that this was not the end. Behind her, she could feel Niara's cold, menacing gaze, filled with danger and vengeance, tracking her every step. Lila struggled in the freezing currents, the sensation like thousands of blades slicing into her skin. Dim flashes of the underwater cavern flickered before her eyes, but she couldn't focus. Niara, with her invisible power, pulled her deeper and deeper into the Kalunga River's depths. Suddenly, the water around her stilled. Lila found herself standing in an otherworldly cavern, its walls glowing with bioluminescent algae. Coral stalagmites radiated a soft, ethereal blue light, creating a beauty that did little to calm her nerves. In the center of the cavern stood a massive stone platform. Upon it, a familiar figure was bound tightly by shimmering chains of liquid water. Malik, her father, the man she had longed to find her entire life, was slumped forward, his frail shoulders quivering with each labored breath. "Father!" Lila cried, her voice echoing through the cavern, mingling with the sound of dripping water. Tears streamed down her face as she ran to him. Malik lifted his head, his eyes widening in disbelief at the sight of her. "Lila? Is it really you?" His voice was hoarse but filled with emotion. "My God, I thought I'd never see you again." Lila knelt beside him, her trembling hands reaching out to the watery chains that held him. "I'm here, Father. I'm going to get you out of this." Malik shook his head, despair clouding his eyes. "You don't understand, Lila. These chains can't be broken. Niara, she'll never let me go." Lila glanced down at the pearl on her necklace, feeling its mysterious power radiating through her. Clutching it tightly, she felt its warmth spread through her hand, as if it were whispering encouragement. "Trust me, Father," she said, her voice firmer than ever. Raising the pearl toward the chains, its light flared suddenly, filling the cavern with a dazzling brilliance. The watery chains cracked like glass, shattering into droplets that scattered and vanished. Malik fell forward, freed after years of imprisonment. Lila caught him, tears streaming as she held him tightly. "We have to leave now," she whispered, her eyes darting toward the cavern's entrance. "Before she comes." But before she could move, a deafening roar filled the air. Niara appeared, her golden eyes blazing with fury, her hair flowing like molten rivers of fire. "Did you think you could steal what belongs to me?" she snarled, her voice as sharp and cold as blades, slicing through the air. Niara surged toward them, the water around her rising into wild, swirling columns. Lila gripped her father's hand tightly as the pearl on her necklace flared once more, its light more brilliant than ever. The glow expanded, forming an invisible shield that halted Niara's advance. "No!" Niara screamed, her voice echoing with rage. "You cannot escape. The Kalunga River will always reclaim what is its own." But the pearl's light carved a path through the swirling waters, revealing an escape route back to the surface. Lila helped Malik to his feet, guiding him as quickly as possible toward the opening. When they broke through the surface and collapsed onto the riverbank, Lila gasped for air, glancing around as if emerging from a dream. Yet beside her lay her father, lost for 17 years but now alive, breathing heavily but free. "We did it, Father," she whispered, clutching the necklace tightly in her hand. But deep down, she knew this was not over. Beneath the river's surface, she could feel Niara's gaze, burning with hatred and the promise of vengeance. Under the warm rays of the sun, Malik and Lila knelt by the riverbank, holding each other tightly. Tears streamed down their faces, a mixture of overwhelming joy and relief as they reunited after 17 long years. Malik, though frail and trembling from exhaustion, gazed at his daughter with eyes full of pride and love. "I never thought I'd see you again, Lila," Malik whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "Neither did I, Father," Lila replied, her tears flowing freely. "But now you're safe and we'll never lose each other again." Yet, even as she clung to her father, Lila's eyes kept drifting back to the Kalunga River. Its surface lay calm and serene, unnervingly so, as if everything that had happened was just a terrible nightmare. But she knew it was far from a dream. Deep within the water, she could feel Niara's gaze. From the shimmering depths, the golden-haired mermaid emerged briefly. Her piercing yellow eyes no longer burned with fury but held an eerie calmness, filled with an air of foreboding and mystery. "I will return, Leela," Niara's eyes seemed to whisper. "The Kalunga River never lets go." A chill ran down Lila's spine, a cold tremor that lingered even under the sun's warmth. While the pearl's light had saved her this time, she knew the battle with Niara was far from over. A familiar voice called from the distance, pulling Lila from her thoughts. Naomi, her mother, came running from the village. Tears streamed down her face, but her expression radiated joy and disbelief as she saw her husband, the man she had waited for all these years. "Malik!" Naomi cried, throwing her arms around him and Lila. Though weak, Malik lifted himself to embrace his wife. "Naomi, I'm home." Naomi sobbed, holding her husband and daughter as if afraid they might vanish again. "Thank God our family is finally whole." Lila watched the emotional reunion, her heart swelling with happiness, though a quiet unease lingered deep inside her. As the sun dipped lower on the horizon, it cast a golden glow over the Kalunga River, a haunting reminder of the ordeal they had just survived. Lila gripped the silver necklace tightly, her gaze once again drawn to the river's tranquil surface. This legend isn't over, Lila thought. The Kalunga River with its allure and danger remained, and Niara, the powerful, vengeful mermaid, was still there waiting for another chance. As darkness crept across the land, Lila stood silently, savouring the fragile peace of their reunion. She knew that she and her family would need to prepare for what lay ahead. The Kalunga River never forgives, and Niara would not give up easily.